We are on day 4 in South Africa. So we went to Kruger National Park, and we actually were given a tour by Robin Cook, who is currently studying for his PhD and currently does research with Elephants Alive. He took us throughout and taught us about the tree vegetation. We were able to see numerous species out on the safari drive. He also talked about the vulture program, which is a program that helps build nests for the vultures. The interesting thing about the vultures that we learned is that whenever an animal dies, the vultures come in, obviously, and feed off of the species. But whenever there are circumstances where poachers actually kill a species, they will actually put poison on the carcass, which then the vultures ingest, and it then kills the vultures. The reason the poachers have been known to do that is because they do not want to give off that sorry, back noise, that a species has been poached, and they do not want to give up their location. So it's pretty interesting that other species are being affected by the poachers. After that, it was a long day. We drove through we did not drive through the entire park, just a small portion of it. And then we headed back in and we had dinner, and we kind of wrapped up the evening with that. Then we moved on to day 5, and day 5 was a really big day for us. We actually met with Dr. Kari Mortfield, and she is a leading scientist that works on the elephant projects out here. She actually has founded For Elephants, which is a nonprofit. So we were able to go out on research with them and learn about their program.
I'm Dr. Kari Mortfield. I'm director and founder of For Elephants, Inc. We're here in South Africa, and I'm also partnering with Elephants Alive, that's based here in South Africa. Our organization is based in Nebraska, and we help on the education research side of elephant research, both in the U.S. and in Africa. And these are my daughters, my field assistants and lab assistants as well. Do you want to introduce yourself, or shall I? What's your name? Gianna. Gianna is 7, and she has 7 years of experience in the lab. And?
I'm Scarlett.
This is Scarlett, and they've been coming to Africa with me since 6 months of age. It was important that they come here, of course, for the research, so I could do that. I do the solo parent gig, but it didn't stop us from doing what we needed to do. And I bring them with because it's important for them to see and appreciate nature and let nature teach them. Be in different culture and be patient and hot and sweaty, and it has instilled a love of nature, and just for them to be part of this from day one, because then they bring back what they learn back to their schools and kids in the U.S. And I just want to be that bridge and invite other families with us too. So how do you guys feel about this research?
I like it a lot.
You like it a lot. Mm-hmm. Good answer. So that's us. That's our little our crew.
And what's your mission statement?
Our mission statement is we empower people to do their part for endangered animals of the world. It was primarily elephants, and we do not even 90%. We were all elephants, but now that we've done a lot of research and have made a lot of difference, we want to help other species. So right now we're looking at giraffes, and we've set the bar and done a lot of basic research for elephants. Now doing the same thing for giraffe. And I was kind of also surprised that I already thought, oh, somebody's already doing giraffe, right? Like, it's all figured out. But then the more I got into it, people aren't at this level. Like the social part of giraffe, the reproduction of giraffe, body condition, physiology. And so now we're for elephants and everything else. Okay. So that's what we do. And a bunch of what we do, core to our mission, is empowering next generation in terms of scientists. So we have a graduate program based in Nebraska that teaches students in Nebraska about conservation and reproduction, and we say conservation endocrinology. endocrinology and hormones, like people are like, hormones, what does that have to do with conservation? But it decides everything for you, like even from humans, from when you eat, when you feed, reproduction, stress level. And so a lot of research has been done on the external part of an animal, but we really look at an animal from the inside out. Even things in the brain and happy hormones, sad hormones, like is this animal happy? Is this animal thriving? So we're just trying to understand animals internally as well. And we match that with outside data, and it's been a game changer in what we can do for them. So that's what we do, and training our students is near and dear to my heart. So me going through this path and being able to work in Africa was a really hard journey to get here. But I wanted to make that path and pave a path for others. And, I'm from a small town of 200 people in Nebraska. And to be here doing this, I knew this from a kid, this is what I wanted to do, and just stuck to it. But I want to guide other people to do the same. So we will have one of the only programs in the world that does endocrinology and conservation ecology that bridges the gap between Africa and the US. And so, I have PhD students, master students with the University of Nebraska in Omaha and Lincoln. And now we have partnerships, and it's all about partnerships and relationship and opportunity. And now our goal is to bring students from Africa to Nebraska. And that's where conservation happens. It's all relationship. So I'm being the avenue for that. And it's hard for students now. And, traditional students, young kids, and then also community. So part of what we do is we bring people to Africa with us. So whether you're a student or, you just love nature or you want to see how you can help conservation, we bring community groups with us. To me, conservation it's not just scientists. Actually, it's very, it's everybody. And so it's awesome to have those trips and different perspectives. And everybody needs to go to Africa. It changes you. Like, since I've started coming here since age 18 and every year since, several times a year, it's my home, it's in my blood, it's in my kids, and it just makes you a better human. And better humans make better planets and better decisions for our planet. So
what do you love about Africa so much?
I love the sound of Africa. I love that it gives you space to think. You're just not caught up. There's the good and bad about Africa time. Africa time can be a slower pace, and for research that doesn't help us. But in terms of appreciating just nature, we're so busy saving all the time and like doing the work. It gives me a moment to, as you see, we're super busy here all the time. But it's also good just to like appreciate being human and being part of this. It's also just, you see animals, what I love about it is, I work with a lot of animals in the US. I get to see animals in their natural state and they teach me something every time, not about just them, but about me and cooperation. And it's just beautiful. Like, it is just a land of simplicity, and yet complexity, and makes you slow down. It's just, yeah.
And what is your biggest obstacle as far as conservation?
Money. Nobody wants to hear that answer, but funding, consistent funding is hard. So we go in ebb and flows, right? We'll get a grant, we'll get a donation, and we'll rock it and finish this research project. But doing the research project is like 10% of it. So it's being able to then, I'm always like applied stuff. Every research we do is thinking, how do you use this after, right? And so that's the hardest part, is consistent funding, so that we're not always chasing money, but we can do our work. That is the hardest obstacle. That is by far, and just having what we're doing is so important. And and this is the part we need help with, is like, how do you spread the message of needing help? How do you get people to want to help? And what do they get in return, right? Like, we want to share this with people and understand by them just giving money. We want them to see. So that's the hardest part, is money. And money for us to train generations, money to have infrastructure here, so this lives on way past me. That's the goal. Like, I want to leave my mark. Like, one day I won't even be known perfect, but this will. And this will be a huge part of what happens to our species in Africa and in the world. Like, it already has. Money is number one. Second is speed. You know, we think we have all the time in the world to save these animals, and we don't. I think everybody just thinks somebody else is doing it. And I thought that for a long time, and they aren't. And that's a big part of why I started this. You know, I had my dream job in a zoo that I worked my whole life to get, and in a week after I got it, I quit because it wasn't going to be fast enough. And I knew what had to be done. And so I decided to take the leap of faith and all out and have others join me. And since we've done that, we have, of course, it's not me, it's all relationship and collaboration and working with these different organizations. Like, we have had the first time had a positive growth rate in elephants in the zoos in 20 years, right? And it took each individual relationship with each place and helping them how we could, and just taking action when you don't have all the answers. And that's the hardest part. Is, as scientists, we are used to, you want 95% confidence that something will work. I'm more in the 70-30 rule. You have to live in the gray zone, otherwise you don't move fast enough. So speed, we don't have time. An elephant is pregnant for 22 months, right? And that takes a lot of time for populations to grow. And so we don't have time. You know, elephants are predicted to go extinct by, what is it, 2030? 2050. Sorry, 2050 in zoos.
That's around the corner.
The 2050 is around the corner,
Yeah.
right? Because when I started this, it was 2050. I'm like, oh, we got time. And now I'm like, crap, that was 20 years ago, right? That is not fast enough still. But it could be so much faster if we have support and people saying yes when they're not ready to say yes. I say yes and figure it out as you go.
So I know we have to get on the move
Yes.
with these elephants, but one more question.
Okay.
You are highly, highly educated. You're a scientist. You love nature, clearly. You love the wild, and you love these animals to be free. However, you also support zoos, which
Yeah.
could be contradicting to some. So tell me why zoos are so important, and animals are in captivity are also very important.
Yes, I get questions about this all the time. Like, pick one, pick the wild or pick zoos. And I say, I pick animals, I pick people, regardless of their barriers. And that's because zoos and private facilities and ranches have such an important part. Because the things I'm applying here in Africa are things I first learned in a zoo environment. Like, I didn't have access. I couldn't take blood from a wild elephant. It started by studying elephants we had access to. So they're critically important. And all my research has done, how do you make that zoo environment better for animals, right? We learn from nature. And zoos are amazing of what they do and educating public, but of course we can always improve. And zoos know that, right? So what we learn, we implement. So the fact of, or the idea of having multiple bull elephants in a facility was kind of unheard of. And now we have several doing that, and those are the ones that are having babies, right? So it's me bringing data from Africa, implementing it, and some say yes, in that 70-30, and that's what we learn. And zoos also have, and private facilities and ranches have the funding to support what we do here. So I've gotten all my funding from the US to contribute here. So this doesn't exist without people from the US in zoos and facilities. So I think we need to stop the dialogue of pick one. If we're for animals and conservation, we support all. That's the right thing to do because they all affect each other. So I couldn't be here without the zoos and the ranches and the private facilities. And I think it's pretty important that I am here. So I always support both. And part of what we do is bring people and zoo professionals here. And I love bringing elephant keepers professionals. So one of my PhD students is here with me now. And it's a way I can give back. So they don't make a lot of money. They couldn't afford to come here on their own. So it's important for me for them to get inside a herd of elephants and learn from them. So a couple of the elephant crew I brought from Omaha Zoo last year, they went back and they said they implemented something they knew. They learned from nature. I mean, how cool is that, right? Because they're in it every day. So I will always be, trying to close this gap and be the bridge. And maybe that's my role, and I'll accept that and do that every day.
We went out on a private reserve with her team, and we were able to actually come up on, we were actually looking for collared elephants. However, the particular elephant we were looking for, Summer, we were tracking her and she went into a private farm, and so we were not able to actually get close to her. But we did actually come up on a couple of herds that had not been identified yet. The driver was actually able to take photos for their own research and documentation, and then we actually got fecal off of the one female that had a baby with her.
A little bit more. So you can see like all the grass in there. So it's really hard to get enough fecal matter. Perfect. It's okay, I've touched a lot of poop before. Perfect. Squish it down. That's it.
Is that it?
And we close it up. And in this bag, it's crazy of how much information is in here. So we're looking at reproductive hormones, stress hormones, and this will tell us so much about this herd and how it changes the season, and this informs reference ranges for elephant management. But this bag right here is like gold to me, which is really kind of sad. You did your first sample.
Yay!
Let's take a picture with that.
After that, we were able to see some other species out there, and also we were able to see another non-collared bull, and we were able to observe him a little bit. And then we went back in and we actually headed over to Kari's lab. Dr. Kari is currently in the process of moving her lab to a new hub that will actually be partnered with Elephants Alive, but temporarily she's still at her old lab, so we went over there and she went through the process from the fecal to how they pull the, what is that called? Hormones. They were actually able to pull the hormones out of the fecal and the process of that for their testing. So there was a whole process of that. After that, we went back and had dinner, and that kind of wrapped up that night. Then we were moving into today. This is day 6. It's been quite a long adventure, and so now it was time to pack up, and we have moved down to a new location. So this morning we got up, we had breakfast and packed, and we actually went to town before we left, and we purchased some tents and supplies for the shepherds. They were in need of some new tents and supplies because they had holes in their tents, and that's where they're currently living while they're building the new hub, and also going out to protect the villages and the elephants whenever they get calls. And so we gathered those new supplies and we met them and gave it to them, which was awesome. They really appreciated it, and it was really nice to do. Well, we got you guys some pillows and tents.
Wow! Our 5-star hotel. Which
poncho,
we are moving to.
So I know. I wish I could build you guys a whole structure right now,
Yes,
but at
yes,
least for
yes.
now, till we can get that, you guys will have some new stuff.
Thank you so much.
One of who had the hole in their tent? Who had the hole?
I think it's this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
which
what we
means
speak
we move from 5-star hotel. We are moving to
7-star.
7-star hotel.
I got everything I could as fast as I could. So,
Thank you.
but
Yeah,
thank you for you guys
Thank you so
too,
much.
and protecting villages and elephants. So we're
Thank you so
excited
much.
to see what comes.
Yeah, maybe we can do more than that. Yeah, at the end of the day, you never know.
We
But
should
we'll
see
keep
next
on
time.
trying to do that.
We'll be back.
Yeah,
We'll be back.
we like
So,
that.
but yeah, so all of,
Yeah, really.
Oh,
you're
we
check it
are very happy now. Oh,
Each pick it up and
there was one poncho that's coming. They had to order another one, but it's coming, and I've arranged it with Ian to get to you guys.
thank you, Kristen. That's really
They only want one.
yes.
After that, half of the crew got in a car and headed down to the Free State, and I flew with Dr. Kari and had some time to just talk about her research and what her plans and goals were. And then we arrived at Lasatsi, Africa. And that this is actually in the Free State. It's approximately maybe 8-9 hours from where we were just at. So we headed kind of back towards Johannesburg and then further south. And so we just arrived this evening and got checked in our chalets. We have no AC, and the share load shedding, you know, all the same, that has occurred, and so we have no electricity and our fans are not working. So this is going to be an interesting adventure. It is very dark when we arrive, so we've not seen anything yet. But this place does have tigers and lions and cheetah. They're actually known for their cheetah conservation, and so that's what we're here to learn about. And we had dinner, and that's a wrap. I'm gonna go shower and go to bed.